Pledge for Peace. Mr. Yoshiro Yamawaki, representing the Hibakusha, will deliver the Pledge for Peace. Pledge for Peace. On August of 1945, the United States of America dropped atomic bomb on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which took the lives of over 200,000 people. At that time, I was 11 years old and was exposed to the atomic bomb at home, approximately 2 kilometers away from the hypocenter. My mother and 4 of my younger siblings had evacuated to Saga, so fortunately they survived. But my father was working in a factory 500 meters from hypocenter and died in the explosion. My older brother, younger brother, and I, the 3 of us, gathered any remaining unburned pieces of wood and cremated our father's body near the remains of the burned factory. However, we could not bear to stare at his burning remains and left there while looking at the blazing fires. The following day, we went to collect his ashes, but his body had not burned all the way through. Only parts of his limbs had burned completely to ash. Let's at least just take his skull and go home, my older brother said to me. When he touched part of the skull with the hibashi or special chopsticks for collecting bones in cremation, it broke in a manner similar to plaster, and the cloudy and partially burned brain started to leak out. My brother shrieked and dropped the hibashi and ran away. I followed after him. We left our father's remains in that dreadful state. The crematorium were all destroyed in the bombing, so many others also had to go through similarly cruel experiences with their lost family members and relatives. Not only that, but those who had narrowly survived had to continue living while suffering from their injuries from the heat rays and the after effects of the radiation exposure. About 20 years after I was exposed to the atomic bomb, I developed acute hepatitis and nephritis, and I continue to receive treatment for these conditions to this day. Nearly 60 years after, I developed stomach cancer, and in 2008 and 2010, I underwent surgery to remove the cancerous tissue. My older brother and younger brother, who were with me at that time when we cremated our father, also developed cancer and are continuing to receive treatment. It has been 74 years since then, and we, the Hibakusha, the survivors of the tragedy, have been continuing to appeal for the abolition of nuclear weapons alongside many people. I also started self-studying English when I was over 60 years ago, and in November of 2015, at the Pugwash conference in Nagasaki, I asked the scientists of the world in English to lend me their strength to make nuclear abolition a reality. However, it is said that Russia, America, and many other countries around the world still collectively possesses a total of 13,880 nuclear warheads. Furthermore, America has announced their withdrawal from the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia. And in February, it was reported that the Trump administration conducted their second subcritical nuclear test. These actions betray the wishes of all people praying for nuclear abolition. With each passing day, the hibakusha are becoming fewer in number. I have a request to make at this ceremony for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe here today. As the only country in the world to have suffered from atomic bombing, I humbly ask you to appeal to all of the nuclear weapon states to eliminate their nuclear stockpiles while the hibakusha are still with us. On this issue alone, Japan must not follow America and show their firm stance of nuclear abolition in all fields related to nuclear weapons. I will, of course, continue to appeal for the abolition of nuclear weapons until I die. This is how we should honor the 200,000 people who lost their lives in Hiroshima and Nagasaki 74 years ago, and the hibakusha who continue to live while suffering from the after effects. I sincerely hope that Japan, having sacrificed the lives of over 3.1 million people in World War II, will preserve its pacifist constitution established after the war and will fulfill its role as a leader in realizing a world without war or nuclear weapons.
Please lend us your strength to eliminate nuclear weapons from the face of the earth and make sure that Nagasaki is the last place on earth to suffer an atomic bombing. Thank you. 2019年
Yoshiro Yamawaki, Atomic Bomb Survivor Representative, August 9th, 2019.